Hi, today I'm going to talk about how I handled this verse, which is Proverbs 24:1. So here in the TND display, we have the NIV and the bold text, and then the translator notes display uh, suggestions as the not bold text. And it has two parts, part A and part B. And the first part is do not envy wicked men. So over here, to see what a literal translation is, in the NASB, I have do not be envious of evil people. Now, so a common thing is envy here, which we see in these little translations, and that's one of the options. You should not be envious of people who are wicked. Although I could change it to you should not, what you have in the translation notes display, I don't see any reason not to use an imperative like the literal versions use. So I'm going to say do not be, and instead of be envious, we have a verb envy. So I'm going to use that. Do not envy. So let's see. In the program TBTA, you go to ontology and lexicon, ontology, and then verbs, and then you do this pull down menu for the source terms over here, and mostly we're looking at the source terms, and I'm going to go to E for envy. Now it says here, it looks like it hasn't been used yet, but it's been entered. It says it's complex and to wish that you had someone else's things. That's not actually the gloss that I want. I sent a message to Todd about this. The authoritative guide for what we want, the phase one people want, is in this document, how to handle complex terms. And so if you look up envy in here, it's in alphabetical order. So envy X, so X can be anything, but basically a noun. So you can envy a noun. And the gloss is to want to live just like X lives. Or I have an alternate form here, want to be like X, but I like the first one for this verse, so I'm going to use that. Want to live just like X lives. Another thing to note, here it says, do not envy wicked men. I'm not sure if this is the NIV or the NRSV version. They use one or the other in the translation notes. The NIV 11 has do not envy the wicked. We can't notice that NASB has evil people. So probably the literal is just the wicked here without a noun. But we can't do that in TBTA. We can't have a headless adjective, we call it. There has to be a head to the noun phrase. So we have to have a noun in the noun phrase. So we have to have wicked. Now, since I would favor people over men anyway, because I think this applies to men and women. So I'm going to use people. So we have to say evil people. We can't say wicked people. If you looked in the ontology, so now we were in events. Now I'm going to go to object attributes, which means adjectives. If you were to look up wicked, it says use evil and delete this concept. So in other words, we used to have wicked, but there's no reason to have the two words because they mean exactly the same thing. So we use evil. And if you looked in the how-to document, so Control F lets you search, and then I do wicked, and you can see it's an adjective, and it says use evil. And this column tells you if we have that complex term, and it says no. So we're not going to use wicked, we use evil. Okay, so what did I do here? This is what I did. First of all, this is in a list with, this is the 20th item. I'm using the numbers from the NIV. So it says you, son. So when we have second person, we use you, but we have to tell who it is in parentheses. And then this is an imperative marker, IMP. You, son, imperative, do not want to live just like the recommended way. I think this will work if you don't put a hyphen, but now we're recommending that for hyphenated words, you go ahead and put the hyphen in. Just like evil people live. So that will be generated as it's an imperative. So the way in English we express an imperative is we get rid of the subject and we say, do not envy evil people. So want to live just like evil people live becomes envy evil people. So that's it. Okay, what about for the second sentence? So it says, do not desire their company. The NASB says, nor desire to be with them. So let's see what the translation notes suggest. It says, and you should not associate with them, or do not try to become their friends. So this is a little bit different. Do not try to become their friends. But I noticed over here, and this is the translation notes, the TNN resource. It says, this means that he should not become friends with. He should not want to associate with them. And it has some suggestion, do not make friends with them, or do not wish you were with them. The handbook says a similar thing. To be with them is the literal rendering, but the expression has the sense of wanting their company or their friendship. Okay, so it says in the handbook, and as implied here, the NIV or NRSV, I'm not sure, do not desire their company. And that kind of means to be with them, as in the NASB. And that's what the handbook says. To be with them is literal text. So what I've decided to do here, and I want to keep the idea of desire, which shows up. I'm going to express this as an imperative instead of making it you should not, like they have here, because we can express an imperative just as easily as we can express this. The translation notes display has do not try to become. So try would be another way to express this. But since the literal text has desire, I'm going to try to use that. So here I'm going to show you what I did. Since the notes in the handbook liked the idea of becoming friends, I'm going to use that as a dynamic alternate. But as suggested by the literal translations and by the handbook, to be with them is more literal. So what I've done is I've had a literal alternate, do not desire, but I can't use desire because desire is a complex word. So if I look in the how-to document for desire, desire we can pair with want. Or we can use much desire, much want. Much desire goes to desire greatly. Okay, so we usually pair desire with the verb want, which has a very similar meaning. So what I've done is do not want / desire. That's how we indicate a complex pairing. The complex word will be used if it's available, but if not, the simple word want will be used. Do not want or desire to be with those people, which the handbook said is very literal, and as was suggested by the literal English versions. So that's what I have for a literal version, but for the dynamic version, I put do not desire to become the friends of those people. So that would be generated as a literal version, do not desire to be with those people, or a dynamic version, do not desire to become their friends. Okay, well that's how I handled this verse, and thank you for listening.